Hey everybody, Brian Tro coming to you from Mossy Creek Fly Fishing with your fly fishing forecast. The date today is Tuesday, the 18th of April. So I'm coming to you today from the inside of our new mobile fly fishing shop, the Mossy Creek Fly Truck. And it had its little debut party this weekend on Saturday. Lots of you folks got to come out and check it out. It's going to be a lot of fun, and we're going to be taking this thing all over the state this year and then beyond next year. So we have a lot of fun. We'll be bringing all the services and products you love and help hopefully to your town sometime soon. So we've got a lot to get to on the fishing. It's been really awesome. The weather, we could use a little bit of rain. We've gotten a bit dry. There's some places that got some quick shots and showers over the last week, but like today, for example, we have high wind and we have a red flag warning, which is not unusual for this time of year. Here in the mountains, we've got all the, the tinder from last fall on the ground. And when you get 5 or 6 days with a lot of wind and it's dry, then you can have some fires. So hopefully we'll have some weather coming in later in the week and cool things off and get us some more water. So if you're heading to the mountain streams to brook trout fish, the fishing is dynamite, okay? They're eating bugs left and right. You pretty much don't have to put on a nymph at all for most streams, most part of the day. Cahills and Hendricksons and caddis, they're all in full swing. So probably going to be some March Browns starting to come off here in the next week or two. And so get out there, use a little bit longer leaders, use stealthy approaches, dress a little bit darker to conceal yourself, get down behind rocks, fish wave trains and bubbles, and wherever the water is moving. Remember, wherever the water is active and churning and moving, not only does it throw light and makes it harder for them to see you, it makes them harder to hear you too. Okay, so water is loud when you're in it and it's churning. So if those long glassy pools have gotten a little bit too spooky and you're scaring fish upon arrival, move to the heads, move to the lips, move to places where you're a bit more concealed. All right, coming downhill, our delayed harvest streams, we've got about a month and a half left on those before they open up for harvest. So places like the North River delayed harvest, they're fishing quite well. Get up there and enjoy those for the next month and a half before they warm up and before folks get in there and harvest the fish. Our spring creeks are fishing well, same story, a little low, but fish are active. Sulfurs are starting to hatch, not in massive numbers yet. As soon as we see big sulfur hatches and spinner falls on some of our spring creeks like Buffalo Creek and Beaver Creek and Smith Creek and Mossy Creek, we'll try and document those and let you know. But have some sulfurs on you, have some sulfur emergers, okay, because that's what's going to happen. They're going to pop throughout the day, one here, one there, and then those big spinner falls will be at night. The nice thing is when the sulfurs first show up, there's lots of varieties. The first ones of the year are not only a welcome sight to those spring creek fish that haven't eaten off the surface a lot since last fall, but they're bright yellow and they're like size 14. They're very easy to see, all right? And if nothing's happening with the bugs on the spring creeks, you can always fish sculpins, you can always fish nice streamers, just size down appropriately for the water levels, okay? If it's gotten real shallow where you normally fish, and you normally fish tungsten head, switch to brass head, or if you normally fish brass, switch to, no bead at all. And that'll help you manage your depth and not be hung on the bottom all day long. All right, so the warm water fisheries, the James and the Shenandoah. It's taken us a little while to confirm this because we don't want to give false reports, and sometimes your observations at one spot on one day in the river doesn't apply to the whole thing. But we can confirm that on the South Fork of the Shenandoah, the bass, the smallmouth bass, and even some largemouth are actively spawning. This is one of the earliest spawns we've seen in the last 20 or 30 years. Some people said, oh, it's because it was such a warm winter. It was warm, but March was actually average or even kind of cool. And water temperatures are still pretty close to what they ordinarily are. Now, the water levels are lower, and lower water levels can lead sometimes to earlier spawns, but it's quite early. My twin brother's birthday is the 24th of April, and that's a marker for years and years of fishing around that time with our friends like Chuck Kraft and Jeff Kelby and Bob Kramer. We've been doing this forever. And typically we'll go over to the James and fish leading up to our birthday for pre-spawn. The James in Central Virginia, where I fish a lot, and that river gets started earlier. Those fish are usually 2 weeks, sometimes more, ahead of the fish on the South Fork, which is cooler water. We've got spawning fish everywhere. We've been on the main stem, we've been on the South Fork, we've been on the James, we've been all over, and they're nesting up, okay? And like I said, even largemouth too. So what does that mean? Like, people ask all the time, how do I handle spawning fish? Should I just not fish at all? People have a pretty clear idea when it comes to brook trout. The most ethical way to deal with them is just kind of like stay away from them for a while. But these are big rivers. You're not wading them for the most part this time of year. I mean, you can, but most folks are floating. If you know where the spawning sites are, and if you have visibility in the water, like which you have right now because the water's clear and it's sunny out, and you can see fish, males actually guarding nests, you need to leave them alone and let them guard those nests, okay? Especially you float fishermen who might catch one and end up fighting them down another rapid or two before you get them off, and now they're separated from their nests, okay? So it's pretty unethical to see the nest, see the fish guarding it, see eggs, and to try and catch those fish off. They're not really eating heavily. They're using their mouth to defend, like we would use our fists, okay? If you come across spawning spots and the males and females are literally paired, which only happens for a day or two here and there, you probably won't catch them, all right? Because they have other things in mind and they're not interested in eating. Okay, so after the fish have paired, the hens will push off, and they will be in pretty close proximity to those spawning sites, and they just go right back to feeding again, okay? They've got to replenish their calories. They've been producing egg, and so they've got calories they got to catch back up on. So if you're floating the river and you're staying away from some of these spawning areas, you're going to catch all the immature fish, of which there are millions, okay? So smaller smallmouth that are not sexually active. If they're done spawning, you'll catch the hens, mature hens, because they're back out feeding again. Of course, there's lots of other fish in the river to catch too. There's sunfish, and there's channel cats, and there's carp, and all kinds of stuff. So the answer is you just need to pay attention, and you need to make sure you aren't targeting nesting fish, all right? Those males will guard the nest roughly about 2 weeks, sometimes a little more, sometimes a little less. And once they hatch in a fry and the fry are moving off, the adults will go back to feeding again. The males will go back, and they'll be hungry as well, okay? So that's like a little bit of a rundown on the spawn. I wasn't planning on bringing that to you all for another week or two, or maybe 3 or 4 sometimes. So they can spawn as late May, but we've got an early spawn on our hands, all right? So be aware, pay attention to it, enjoy the river, enjoy it responsibly, stay away from nesting grounds, and stay away from fish guarding nests. Okay, and we're a couple weeks away. Speaking of spawn, the Muskie are still doing their thing. So we're a couple of weeks away before they begin to show their faces, and they will be extra hungry. And as we have Muskie Madness, okay, the month of May and the month of June. It's usually 2 of the best months for Muskie here in Virginia before it starts to get a little hot. All right, I think that's it for now. I want to thank everybody for coming out to our big event this past Saturday. We fed a lot of people, and it was great seeing people. We had people come from as far away as Maine. We had people from Florida. We had people from North Carolina, DC, everywhere. So I want to thank you all for coming and supporting us for all the years. And I have a lot of exciting things that are going to happen this year, and looking forward to the next 20. I will catch you all next week.